Our world is a shared space, a vibrant tapestry where the lives of humans and animals often intertwine. From the bustling cities to the quiet countryside, we find ourselves living side by side with a myriad of wild creatures. For centuries we have built our homes, farms and cities in territories that were once the exclusive domain of wildlife. As our populations grew, so did our need for space, leading to the expansion of urban and rural areas into natural habitats. This proximity has led to a delicate and sometimes difficult relationship. Fences and barriers may mark the boundaries of our properties, but they do little to deter the instincts of wild animals seeking food and shelter. While we often marvel at the beauty and resilience of wild creatures, their presence can create significant challenges. The sight of a deer grazing in a meadow or a hawk soaring above can be awe-inspiring, yet these same animals can become nuisances or even threats when they encroach on human spaces. When animal populations grow unchecked or their natural habitats shrink, they are forced to seek resources in human-dominated landscapes, leading to conflicts that can have serious consequences for both people and the animals themselves. Gardens, farms, and even urban parks become battlegrounds for resources. This is a story that unfolds across every continent in different forms, from the savannas of Africa to the forests of North America, the jungles of South America to the urban sprawl of Asia. Human-wildlife conflicts are a global phenomenon. These conflicts are not simple matters of good versus evil. They are complex ecological puzzles that require careful thought and management. Each situation is unique, influenced by the specific behaviors and needs of the animals involved, as well as the cultural and economic contexts of the human communities affected. They are complex ecological puzzles that require careful thought and management. Wildlife biologists and conservationists work tirelessly to understand these dynamics, using tools like tracking equipment and field studies to gather data and develop strategies. Animals are often just trying to survive, driven by the same basic needs for food, water, and shelter that we all share. A thirsty animal may wander into a farm to drink from a pond, or a hungry predator may venture closer to human settlements in search of prey. However, when their survival instincts clash with human activities, the results can be costly. Crops can be trampled or eaten, property can be damaged, and the delicate balance of local ecosystems can be disrupted. Farmers may lose their crops, facing financial losses and food shortages. Ranchers may lose their livestock, which can be devastating for their livelihoods, and in some cases, human safety can be put at risk. Encounters with large or aggressive animals can lead to injuries or even fatalities, prompting emergency responses and heightened tensions. Understanding the behavior of these animals, the reasons for their expansion, and the impact they have on our lives is the first step toward finding sustainable solutions to these growing problems. Scientists use GPS collars and other tracking methods to monitor animal movements, while communities come together to discuss and implement strategies. Around the globe, communities are grappling with these issues every day. From setting up deterrents to organizing wildlife management programs, people are finding ways to coexist with their wild neighbors. In North America, vast sounders of wild hogs tear through agricultural fields, causing billions of dollars in damage. These invasive species are particularly challenging to control due to their rapid reproduction and adaptability. In the dense jungles of South America, the powerful jaguar, a symbol of the wild, sometimes preys on livestock, creating a direct conflict with ranchers. Efforts to protect cattle often involve innovative solutions like fortified enclosures and the use of guard animals. In the farmlands of the United States, the clever red fox poses a constant threat to poultry farmers. These cunning predators can slip through even the smallest gaps in fencing, leading to ongoing battles to protect valuable livestock. And in the bustling urban and rural landscapes of Japan, macaques have adapted to living alongside humans, sometimes with aggressive and dangerous consequences for the local population. These intelligent primates can become bold and confrontational, leading to efforts to manage their interactions with people. This essay will explore the stories of 4 distinct animal species and the challenges they present. Each of these animals, wild hogs, jaguars, red foxes and macaques, offers a unique perspective on the broader issue of human-wildlife coexistence. We will look at the wild hog, examining its impact on agriculture and the measures taken to control its population. The jaguar, the red fox, and the macaque monkey will also be featured, each in its native environment, highlighting the specific challenges they pose and the innovative solutions developed to address them. For each, we will examine where they live, the problems they cause, and the methods people have developed to manage their populations and mitigate the damage. From traps and deterrents to relocation efforts, the strategies are as varied as the animals themselves. By looking closely at these specific examples, we can gain a broader understanding of the universal challenge of coexistence and the ongoing effort to find a balance between human progress and the preservation of the natural world, which is a responsibility we all must share. The goal is not just to manage wildlife, but to foster a harmonious relationship where both humans and animals can thrive. The saga of the wild hog in the United States is a sweeping tale of unintended consequences, stretching back over 5 centuries. It is a story that begins not with the animals themselves, but with the ambitions and survival instincts of early European explorers. These animals are not native to North America. Their presence here is the result of deliberate human action, a decision made in a world very different from our own. Their ancestors were Eurasian wild boars, first brought to the continent by Spanish explorers such as Hernando de Soto in the 1500s. These explorers, venturing into the unknown, needed a reliable food source that could survive the journey and thrive in the new world. The solution was simple and practical. Bring pigs along and release them into the wild to establish a living larder. Over time, these animals would multiply, providing meat for future expeditions and settlements. Over the centuries, these original boars interbred with domestic pigs that escaped from early farms and homesteads. The result was a hybrid animal, resilient, intelligent, and highly adaptable, known today as the feral hog. This new breed inherited the cunning and toughness of its wild ancestors, along with the rapid reproductive rate and resourcefulness of its domestic relatives. It was a combination that would prove nearly unstoppable. What began as a handful of animals in isolated pockets soon exploded into a nationwide crisis. By the late 20th century, wild hogs had spread far beyond their original range, aided by both natural expansion and, at times, illegal human transport for hunting purposes. Today, it is estimated that over 6 million wild hogs roam across at least 39 states, from the humid swamps of Florida to the arid plains of Arizona. Their range continues to expand, with new sightings reported every year. Their expansion has been relentless, driven by their incredible ability to adapt to almost any environment. From dense forests to open grasslands, wetlands to agricultural fields, wild hogs have proven they can thrive wherever food and cover are available. They are equally at home in remote wilderness and the edges of suburbia, often venturing into backyards and golf courses in search of food. This adaptability, combined with a lack of natural predators in many regions, has allowed their numbers to grow at an alarming rate. The result is one of the most significant invasive species problems in American history, with billions of dollars in agricultural damage each year. The physical attributes of these animals make them formidable survivors. Their powerful bodies and keen senses allow them to evade traps and hunters alike. An adult wild hog can weigh over 300 pounds, with some exceptional individuals tipping the scales at more than 500 pounds. Their size alone makes them a force to be reckoned with. They are surprisingly fast, capable of running at speeds up to 30 miles per hour. This speed, combined with their intelligence, makes them difficult targets for both hunters and wildlife managers. Their bodies are protected by a thick layer of skin and gristle, often referred to as cartilage armor. This natural shield can deflect thorns, bites, and even some bullets, making them notoriously hard to bring down. Furthermore, they are armed with sharp, continuously growing tusks. These formidable weapons are used for defense and for digging or rooting for food in the ground, a behavior that causes immense ecological damage, from uprooting native plants to destroying the nests of ground-nesting birds. Their reproductive capacity is a key factor in their unchecked spread. Unlike many native species, wild hogs can breed year-round with no defined season. A female hog, known as a sow, can begin reproducing at just 6 months of age and can produce 2 litters of up to 12 piglets each year. In some cases, even higher numbers have been recorded. This means that a single sow can contribute more than 20 new hogs to the population annually. In just a few years, a small group can become a destructive horde. This rapid breeding cycle makes population control incredibly difficult. In Texas, for example, despite the removal of hundreds of thousands of hogs each year, the population continues to rise. In California, wild hogs have been documented destroying vineyards and sensitive habitats, while in the southeast they have been blamed for the decline of native ground-nesting birds and amphibians. The ecological impact is staggering. Wild hogs compete with native wildlife for food, spread invasive plants, and alter entire ecosystems through their rooting and wallowing. Their presence is a constant challenge for farmers, conservationists, and wildlife managers across the country. The wild hog invasion is a uniquely American problem, one that began with a handful of animals and now threatens landscapes, livelihoods, and native species from coast to coast. The economic and environmental damage caused by wild hogs is staggering, and their impact is felt across nearly every corner of the United States. These invasive animals, also known as feral swine, are considered one of the most destructive species in North America. According to the United States Department of Agriculture, wild hogs are responsible for an estimated $2.5 billion in damages each and every year. This figure includes not only direct crop loss, but also the costs of repairing fences, irrigation systems, and other infrastructure. The vast majority of this cost is borne by the agricultural sector. In a 2021 study published in the journal Frontiers in Ecology and the Environment, researchers found that feral swine damage was the leading cause of crop loss in several southern states, surpassing even natural disasters in some regions. Hogs are omnivores with voracious appetites, and they are particularly destructive to crops. Dr. John Mayer, a leading expert on feral swine at the Savannah River National Laboratory, notes that their feeding habits are indiscriminate. They will consume corn, soybeans, peanuts, rice, and even specialty crops like melons and root vegetables. A group of hogs, known as a sounder, can demolish an entire field of corn, soybeans, or peanuts in a single night. In one documented case in Arkansas, a single sounder destroyed over $20,000 worth of crops in less than 48 hours. They do this not only by eating the plants, but also by their rooting behavior, where they use their powerful snouts and tusks to dig for roots, tubers, and grubs, churning up the soil and destroying whatever is planted there. This rooting can reach depths of up to 18 inches, leaving fields pockmarked and unfit for machinery. In states like Mississippi, where wild hogs are present in every county, a single adult hog can cause an estimated $50,000 in agricultural damage over the course of a year. Mississippi State University researchers have tracked the spread of feral swine and found that their population has increased by over 300% in the last 2 decades. The problem is just as severe in Florida, where a population of 500,000 hogs contributes to damages that can reach up to $1.5 billion annually in that state alone. The University of Florida's Institute of Food and Agricultural Sciences has documented entire citrus groves lost to hog activity. Beyond crops, their destructive rooting behavior also wrecks infrastructure. Feral swine have been known to break irrigation pipes, damage fences, and even undermine roads and levees, leading to costly repairs and increased risk of flooding. They can tear up pastures, making them unusable for grazing livestock. In Texas, ranchers have reported losing entire grazing seasons after a single sounder moved through their property. They have also been known to damage golf courses, parks, and even residential lawns, turning carefully manicured landscapes into fields of upturned earth and mud. In suburban Houston, a single night of hog activity caused over $30,000 in damage to a local golf course. The threat from wild hogs extends beyond property damage. Their presence near homes and farms increases the risk of disease transmission and direct encounters. They are carriers of numerous diseases and parasites that can be transmitted to livestock, native wildlife, and, in some cases, humans. The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention have identified over 30 different pathogens associated with feral swine, including leptospirosis, trichinosis, and toxoplasmosis. Diseases such as swine brucellosis and pseudorabies can have devastating effects on domestic pig farms, leading to significant economic losses for farmers. In 2019, an outbreak of pseudorabies in Oklahoma was traced back to contact between feral and domestic swine, resulting in the culling of hundreds of pigs. Their presence also negatively impacts native ecosystems. According to Dr. Jack Mayer, feral swine are ecological bulldozers capable of transforming entire landscapes in a matter of weeks. By competing with native species like deer and turkey for food resources such as acorns, and by preying on the eggs of ground-nesting birds and reptiles, they disrupt the natural balance and can reduce biodiversity in the areas they inhabit. A 2020 study in the journal Biological Invasions found that ground-nesting bird populations declined by up to 40% in areas with high hog densities. Furthermore, direct encounters with wild hogs can be dangerous. Wildlife biologist Dr. Billy Higginbotham notes that wild hogs are unpredictable and can charge if startled or threatened. While they generally prefer to avoid humans, they can become aggressive if they feel cornered or threatened, especially a sow protecting her piglets. In several documented cases, individuals have been seriously injured by charging hogs while working in fields or hiking in rural areas. Over 100 human encounters have been documented, and in rare instances these confrontations have been fatal. In 2013, a Texas man was hospitalized after being attacked by a sounder while checking his property at dawn. These incidents underscore the unpredictable and sometimes deadly nature of feral swine. Emergency responders in rural areas are increasingly trained to handle wild hog encounters, as attacks can happen with little warning. They're also known to attack pets and small livestock, adding another layer of concern for people living in areas with high hog populations. In Alabama, a farmer lost several goats in a single night after a group of hogs breached his fencing. The fight against invasive wild hogs is nothing short of a modern-day war, a relentless campaign waged by government agencies, landowners and hunters who have seen firsthand the devastation these animals can inflict. Across the country, entire communities have mobilized, forming a united front to protect farmland, native wildlife and local economies from the relentless advance of these destructive invaders. Wild hogs are notorious for their ability to tear up fields overnight, rooting through crops and leaving behind a wasteland. Because of their status as a highly destructive invasive species, regulations are intentionally lax, allowing for aggressive, around-the-clock control efforts. Federal and state wildlife agencies have responded with sweeping measures. In many states there are no closed seasons and no bag limits. Hunters are encouraged to take as many hogs as possible, whenever and wherever they can be found. This open policy is a testament to the scale of the threat. The sheer adaptability of wild hogs means that hunters must be equally versatile. From the open plains of Texas to the dense forests of Mississippi, every landscape presents its own tactical challenges. Hunters employ a wide range of methods, blending time-honored traditions with cutting-edge technology. Some rely on the keen senses of trained dogs, while others turn to advanced optics and firearms to gain the upper hand. One of the most dramatic tactics is helicopter hunting. In this high-stakes operation, skilled pilots fly at treetop level, weaving through rugged terrain while gunners scan the ground below for movement. Helicopter hunting is especially effective in states like Mississippi and Texas, where wild hogs roam vast, inaccessible tracts of land. The bird's-eye view allows crews to spot entire sounders hiding in thick brush or open fields. On these missions, pilots and gunners work in perfect coordination. Gunners are often equipped with semi-automatic rifles, such as the AR-15, fitted with thermal imaging scopes that can detect the heat signatures of hogs even in dense cover or total darkness. The helicopter hovers just 50 to 100 feet above the ground, giving the team a tactical advantage and the ability to respond quickly to any movement below. In a single 4-hour sortie, it's not uncommon for a crew to eliminate over 60 hogs. These missions are meticulously planned, with pilots and gunners communicating constantly over headsets, tracking the movement of sounders and adjusting their approach on the fly. The impact is immediate and significant, often providing much-needed relief to local farmers. On the ground, traditional hunting remains a cornerstone of control efforts. In the American South, hog hunting with dogs is a storied practice passed down through generations. Hunters recount tales of legendary dogs that could track a hog for miles, navigating swamps and thickets with unerring precision. Today, these dogs are outfitted with GPS collars, allowing hunters to monitor their movements in real time on handheld devices. Protective vests shield the dogs from the razor-sharp tusks of cornered hogs, and the bond between hunter and dog is forged in the heat of the chase. When the dogs bay a hog, the hunter moves in for a clean shot. Rifles like the .308 Remington 700 are favored for their accuracy and stopping power, ensuring a swift and humane end to the pursuit. Because wild hogs are highly nocturnal, night hunting has become a critical tactic. Many hunters recount stories of long nights spent scanning fields with thermal scopes, waiting for the telltale movement of a sounder emerging from the shadows. Modern night hunters are equipped with thermal and night vision optics, suppressors to minimize noise, and high-powered ammunition. These tools allow them to operate with stealth and precision, often taking multiple hogs in a single outing. Trapping is another vital component of the battle. Large corral-style traps are set in strategic locations, designed to capture entire sounders at once. Hunters and landowners share stories of setting traps at dusk and returning at dawn to find dozens of hogs contained within. These traps are often monitored by cellular cameras, which send real-time images to a hunter's phone. When a group of hogs enters, the gate can be triggered remotely, ensuring the entire sounder is caught before any can escape. This method allows for the removal of multiple animals at once, making it far more effective than targeting individual hogs. Hunters often work in teams, coordinating the setup and monitoring of traps across large properties. Drones have become a game-changer in recent years. Equipped with high-resolution cameras and thermal sensors, drones are used to scout vast areas, locate herds, and direct hunters or trappers to precise locations. In the field, teams communicate via radios, relaying drone footage and coordinating their movements for maximum efficiency. This blend of old-school grit and modern technology is at the heart of the ongoing battle, a testament to the ingenuity and determination of those fighting to reclaim the land from this relentless invader. Deep within the lush, sprawling jungles of South America, a shadow moves with silent purpose. This is the domain of the jaguar, South America's undisputed apex predator, a creature both feared and revered by those who share its territory. The jaguar is more than just a symbol of wildness. It is a keystone species, shaping the very fabric of the ecosystem. Its presence regulates populations of prey animals, preventing overgrazing and maintaining the delicate balance of the rainforest. Yet, as human settlements and agricultural frontiers push ever deeper into the jungle, the jaguar's world shrinks. The encroachment of bulldozers and the spread of farmland fragment its habitat, forcing these elusive cats into closer contact with people. Unlike invasive species such as the wild hog, the jaguar is native to these lands, but its role as a top predator often brings it into direct conflict with human interests, especially those of cattle ranchers whose herds graze at the forest's edge. For many ranchers, the jaguar is a paradox, a creature of legend and power, yet also a threat that can devastate livelihoods overnight. The loss of even a single animal to a jaguar can mean the difference between profit and hardship. The jaguar's physical abilities are nothing short of extraordinary. As the third largest cat in the world after the tiger and lion, the jaguar boasts a muscular build and the most powerful bite force of any feline relative to its size. Its jaws can pierce the thick skulls and shells of armored prey with ease. Jaguars are opportunistic hunters, preying on over 85 different species. Their diet ranges from capybaras and peccaries to formidable caimans and massive tapirs. They are one of the few big cats that regularly hunt in water, using their stealth to ambush prey at riverbanks. Their hunting method is a masterclass in patience and precision. Jaguars stalk silently through dense undergrowth, using their dappled coats as camouflage. When the moment is right, they explode from cover, reaching speeds of up to 50 miles per hour in short, lethal bursts. This combination of strength, speed, and stealth makes the jaguar a formidable ambush predator. But these same traits also make it a serious threat to livestock, especially in areas where natural prey has become scarce. Each year, thousands of cattle and other livestock fall prey to jaguars across South America, fueling a cycle of conflict and retaliation. For ranchers, the loss of livestock is not just a financial blow, it is a personal affront, a challenge to their ability to protect what is theirs. The tension is palpable, especially in remote areas where support is scarce. Many ranchers, faced with repeated losses, come to see the jaguar not as a majestic part of their natural heritage, but as a dangerous pest, one that must be driven away or destroyed to protect their way of life. The situation is further complicated by the rare but real threat jaguars pose to humans themselves. Each year, around 200 human-jaguar encounters are recorded across the jaguar's range. While most do not end in tragedy, they serve as a stark reminder of the risks of living alongside such a powerful predator. At the heart of the jaguar conflict lies a difficult question. How can people and predators coexist in a landscape that is rapidly changing? Conservationists work tirelessly to protect jaguars, setting up camera traps, tracking individuals with GPS collars, and advocating for the preservation of critical habitats. They argue that the jaguar's survival is essential for the health of the entire ecosystem. Meanwhile, those living on the jungle's edge must find ways to safeguard their herds and homes. Some build stronger enclosures, others keep watch through the night, always alert for the telltale signs of a jaguar on the prowl. In recent years, new management strategies have emerged. Regulated hunting, compensation programs, and community-based monitoring aim to strike a balance, protecting both the jaguar and the people who live alongside it. The story of the jaguar is one of survival, adaptation, and the ongoing struggle to find harmony between the wild and the human world. Deep within the dense, tangled rainforests of South America, the jaguar, often called the ghost of the jungle, moves silently through the shadows. For centuries, this apex predator has inspired awe and fear in equal measure, its presence both a symbol of wild majesty and a source of conflict for those who share its territory. As human settlements expand and livestock herds grow, encounters between jaguars and people have become more frequent and at times deadly. In response, several South American nations have developed comprehensive wildlife management programs, seeking a delicate balance between conservation and the protection of rural livelihoods. These programs are not designed to eliminate the jaguar, but rather to manage its numbers in regions where the risk of conflict is highest. The aim is to reduce attacks on livestock, safeguard human communities, and ensure that jaguar populations remain healthy and genetically diverse. Central to these efforts are regulated hunting programs, which operate under strict legal frameworks. Each year, wildlife authorities set quotas carefully calculated based on population surveys, ecological studies, and the extent of human-jaguar conflict in specific areas. For example, a country might authorize the removal of up to 500 jaguars annually, but only in zones where predation on livestock is most severe. These quotas are reviewed regularly with input from biologists, conservationists, and local stakeholders. The legal frameworks governing these hunts are robust and multi-layered. National wildlife agencies enforce a complex web of regulations including closed seasons, protected zones, and mandatory reporting of every animal taken. Only hunters who meet rigorous criteria are allowed to participate. They must demonstrate not only technical skill, but also a deep understanding of the laws and ethical standards that underpin the program. Typically, participants must be at least 21 years old and possess a valid hunting license, which is only issued after a thorough background check and verification of legal compliance. In addition, hunters are required to complete specialized training courses. These cover not just safety protocols and marksmanship, but also conservation principles, the ecological role of the jaguar, and the importance of minimizing suffering through ethical hunting practices. The rules are designed to ensure that hunts are conducted with the utmost responsibility. Only specific problematic animals, those that have repeatedly preyed on livestock or threatened human safety, are targeted for removal. Data from recent years suggests that these measures are having an impact. Last year, the removal of over 200 jaguars in high-conflict zones led to a 15% reduction in livestock losses, a significant improvement for local ranchers. Yet, the hunt itself is no simple task. Tracking a jaguar through the jungle is a test of endurance, skill, and nerve. The animal's elusive nature and keen senses make it one of the most challenging targets in the world. Hunters, often local guides or experienced ranchers, rely on subtle signs, fresh tracks, claw marks on trees, and the remains of prey to locate their quarry. Every step is taken with caution, as the jaguar is both cunning and dangerous when cornered. Once a likely area is identified, bait such as fresh meat may be used to lure the jaguar into a specific location. This method requires patience and a deep knowledge of the animal's habits. The hunter then waits, sometimes for days, concealed in a blind, listening for the faintest sound that might signal the approach of the ghostly predator. When the moment finally comes, success depends on a single precise shot, usually aimed at the head or heart. A wounded jaguar is extremely dangerous, capable of turning the tables on its pursuer in an instant. These regulated hunts remain controversial, sparking debate among conservationists, animal rights advocates, and rural communities. Supporters argue that when properly managed, they are a pragmatic tool for reducing conflict and supporting broader conservation goals. Proponents also point to the long-term population effects. Removing a single adult jaguar can prevent the birth of dozens of future individuals, given the animal's reproductive potential over its lifetime. There is also a significant economic dimension. A legally hunted jaguar can fetch between $5,000 and $10,000, providing a powerful incentive for those involved. These funds help offset the losses suffered by ranchers and provide income for local guides, creating a complex web where economic interests, legal frameworks, and conservation efforts are tightly interwoven. Despite these efforts, challenges remain. Illegal poaching, corruption, and gaps in enforcement threaten to undermine the system. Conservation officers and anti-poaching patrols work tirelessly to uphold the law, but the vastness of the jungle and the high value of jaguar pelts make their task daunting. Conservation biologists continue to monitor jaguar populations using camera traps, GPS collars, and field surveys to gather data. Their research informs policy decisions and helps refine management strategies, ensuring that the ghost of the jungle remains a living symbol of South America's wild heart for generations to come. In the rolling fields and wooded edges of America's heartland, a silent figure moves with purpose and intelligence, the red fox. This animal, with its striking russet coat and bushy tail tipped in white, is more than just a picturesque sight in the countryside. It is a master of adaptation, thriving in environments ranging from dense forests to open prairies and even on the fringes of rural towns. The red fox is renowned for its cunning and resourcefulness. It can slip through tall grass undetected, using its keen senses of smell and hearing to locate prey or avoid danger. Its intelligence is legendary among hunters and farmers alike, who often speak of the fox's ability to outwit traps and evade pursuit. Yet this cleverness comes at a cost for those who make their living from the land. For farmers, especially those raising poultry, the red fox is a relentless adversary. It studies its surroundings, learning the routines of both livestock and humans, and waits for the perfect moment to strike. Across the United States, the red fox population is estimated at 400,000, with certain states like Texas supporting especially dense numbers. These populations flourish in areas where food is abundant and cover is plentiful. The fox's hunting strategy is a blend of patience and precision. When natural prey, such as rabbits or rodents, are scarce, the fox turns its attention to easier targets, often the chickens and ducks kept by local farmers. Under the cover of dusk or darkness, it moves silently, slipping through gaps in fences or digging beneath barriers with practiced ease. The aftermath of a fox's visit can be devastating. The economic toll is significant, with annual damages to agriculture estimated at around $50 million nationwide. The loss is not just financial, but also emotional, as farmers discover the remains of their flocks and the evidence of the fox's efficient, sometimes excessive, hunting. The red fox is notorious for surplus killing, entering a coop and killing far more birds than it can possibly consume. This behavior is driven by instinct, a response to the opportunity presented by confined prey. In a single night, a fox can wipe out an entire flock, leaving behind a scene of chaos and loss. The instinct to hunt is so strong that the fox may return to bury or cache some of its kills for later, further frustrating those who try to protect their animals. For many, the discovery of a decimated coop is a harsh reminder of the fox's impact. Some farmers have reported losing as many as 20 chickens in a single night, a blow that can threaten the viability of small operations. This surplus killing is not limited to small farms. Even large commercial operations are vulnerable. The financial losses mount quickly, and the emotional toll on those who care for their animals is profound. The red fox's adaptability extends beyond rural areas. Increasingly, foxes are seen in suburban neighborhoods and city parks, where they scavenge for food and sometimes come into conflict with pets or property. Like many wild mammals, foxes can carry diseases, the most serious of which is rabies. Though rare, rabies is a fatal viral disease that can be transmitted to other animals and, in exceptional cases, to humans. A rabid fox may behave unpredictably, losing its natural wariness and becoming aggressive. This increases the risk of dangerous encounters, particularly with children or pets who may not recognize the warning signs of illness. In communities where fox populations are high, concerns about public health and safety have led to calls for more active management. Neighborhood meetings and warning signs are now common in areas where foxes are frequently sighted, reflecting a growing awareness of the need for balance between wildlife and human interests. To protect their livelihoods and restore balance, farmers and hunters have developed a range of management strategies. Trapping is a time-honored method, requiring skill and patience to outsmart the fox's keen senses. Modern traps are designed to be humane, minimizing suffering while effectively reducing local populations. Hunting remains a widely used approach, often involving specialized techniques. Hunters may use camouflage and animal calls to lure foxes within range, relying on their understanding of fox behavior and territory. One of the most effective lures is the call of a distressed rabbit, which taps into the fox's predatory instincts. The hunter must remain perfectly still, waiting for the fox to approach, often after hours of patient observation. When the moment comes, hunters typically use small-caliber rifles, such as the .222 or shotguns, to ensure a swift and humane kill. These tools are chosen for their accuracy and effectiveness, minimizing suffering and maximizing safety. Through regulated hunting and trapping, it is estimated that around 400,000 foxes are removed from the population each year in the United States. Wildlife officials monitor these numbers closely to ensure that control efforts remain sustainable and do not threaten the species' long-term survival. For some, there is an added incentive. The pelt of a red fox is highly valued, fetching between $50 and $200 depending on quality. This economic benefit provides further motivation for hunters and trappers to participate in population management, turning a challenge into an opportunity. In Japan, the relationship between humans and wildlife has taken a unique turn with the Japanese macaque, also known as the snow monkey. Once confined to the forested mountains, their population has exploded since the 1970s. This growth is partly due to conservation efforts, but it has also been driven by deforestation and changes in land use, which have pushed the monkeys out of their natural habitats and into closer contact with human communities. As a result, these highly intelligent and adaptable primates have learned to live in agricultural and even urban areas, leading to widespread conflict across the country. The problems caused by macaques are twofold, affecting both agriculture and public safety. The monkeys cause billions of dollars in crop damage each year. They are known to raid farms and orchards, feeding on fruits and vegetables and destroying what they do not eat. Their intelligence makes them difficult to deter. They can learn to bypass simple fences and scare tactics. This has created a significant burden for Japan's aging farming population. At the same time, their interactions with people have become increasingly aggressive. In 2022 alone, over 60 people were injured in macaque attacks, with incidents ranging from stolen food to bites and scratches. An adult macaque can weigh up to 50 pounds and stand 3 feet tall, and they are surprisingly strong. When they lose their natural fear of humans, often through being fed, they can become bold and demanding. Tourists and residents alike have been targeted by monkeys looking for an easy meal. This growing boldness has turned what was once a symbol of Japan's natural beauty into a source of fear and frustration for many communities. The government and local municipalities have been forced to implement serious control measures to manage the burgeoning population and protect citizens. A combination of lethal and non-lethal methods is used to control the macaque population. Hunting is a primary tool, with over 20,000 macaques eliminated in 2022. Hunters use rifles, often bolt-action models, in calibers like .223 or .243 to take monkeys from a distance. These hunts are regulated to protect pregnant females and the young. In some areas, bows and arrows are used to reduce noise in residential zones. Trapping is also considered a more humane option. Large box traps, baited with fruit, are used to capture small groups of monkeys at a time, allowing for their removal from problem areas without the use of firearms. The urban adaptation of these macaques is nothing short of remarkable. They have learned to navigate busy streets, interact with urban infrastructure, and even use human-made objects to their advantage. In cities, they are often seen rummaging through garbage bins, opening doors and windows, and finding innovative ways to access food and shelter. Some have even been observed using pedestrian crossings and waiting at traffic lights, showcasing their incredible adaptability and intelligence. Community stories highlight the daily challenges faced by residents. Local meetings are often held to discuss the latest incidents and share strategies for coexistence. The government has responded by distributing deterrent devices and educating the public on how to minimize conflicts. These measures include installing monkey-proof barriers, using noise and light deterrents, and creating macaque-free zones in critical areas. Despite these efforts, the macaque's presence in urban parks and residential areas continues to be a source of fascination and concern, especially for families with young children. Relocation efforts are ongoing, with wildlife officials capturing and moving macaques to more remote areas in hopes of reducing urban encounters. These relocated monkeys are monitored to ensure they adapt well to their new environments, far from human settlements. The ultimate goal is to find a balance where both humans and macaques can thrive, respecting each other's space and reducing conflicts. Japan's urban wildlife challenge is a complex issue that requires ongoing effort, understanding and cooperation from all parties involved. The stories of the wild hog, the jaguar, the red fox, and the macaque monkey are not just tales of conflict. They are windows into the profound and ancient dance between humanity and the animal world. Each encounter, each struggle, is a chapter in the ongoing narrative of coexistence, where the boundaries between our lives and theirs are constantly redrawn by the forces of nature, necessity, and ambition. Across continents, from the dense jungles of South America to the rolling meadows of Europe and the bustling cities of Asia, these animals have adapted, survived, and sometimes thrived in the shadows of human expansion. The jaguar, a symbol of wild power, now finds its ancient hunting grounds fragmented by roads and ranches. The red fox, ever resourceful, slips through the edges of farmland and suburb, a silent witness to the changing landscape. The macaque monkey, clever and opportunistic, has learned to navigate the concrete jungles we have built, turning our refuse and routines into new sources of sustenance. These stories, though rooted in specific places, echo a universal truth. The relationship between humans and wildlife is as complex as it is ancient, shaped by cycles of conflict, adaptation, and uneasy peace. From the agricultural devastation wrought by invasive hogs in North America to the tense coexistence with jaguars on the South American frontier, these examples reveal that conflict is not confined by borders. Each case is shaped by local ecologies, economies, and histories, yet all are bound by a common thread, the struggle to carve out space for both human progress and the wild heart of nature, in a world where our destinies are increasingly entwined. To seek balance, we must first seek understanding. The ruined field or the lost livestock is not merely a problem to be solved, but a symptom of deeper forces at work. Why do wild hog populations surge beyond control? What drives jaguars to risk the wrath of ranchers by preying on cattle? How have macaques so deftly infiltrated the rhythms of city life? These questions demand that we look beyond the surface to the root causes: habitat loss, shifting food webs, climate change, and the relentless expansion of human activity. The wild hog, for instance, is not just an invader, but a product of ecological imbalance, its numbers swelling in the absence of natural predators and the presence of abundant food. The jaguar, once king of the forest, is now a fugitive on the margins, forced into conflict by shrinking territory and dwindling prey. Each animal's story is a mirror, reflecting the unintended consequences of our choices and the intricate web of life that binds us all. The macaque's success in urban environments is a testament to adaptability, but also a warning. When wild creatures learn to thrive on our waste, it signals a profound shift in the balance of nature. By understanding these dynamics, we can move from reactive measures to proactive stewardship, shaping a future where conflict gives way to coexistence. This journey begins with science, studying animal behavior, tracking population dynamics, and mapping the subtle interplay between species and their environments. It also requires a hard look at our own impact. The forests we clear, the fields we plant, the cities we build. Every action ripples outward, altering the delicate balance that sustains both human and animal life. The tools we use to manage wildlife, helicopter hunts, advanced traps, regulated hunting, are reflections of our values and our dilemmas. Each method carries its own risks and rewards, its own ethical shadows. The choices we make are rarely simple and often demand a reckoning with our own beliefs about nature, responsibility, and the meaning of stewardship. In town halls and around kitchen tables, communities wrestle with these questions. The debates are passionate, sometimes divisive, as people weigh the needs of agriculture, safety, and tradition against the call to preserve the wild. There is no universal solution, no single path that will satisfy all. The true challenge is to find a balance, a dynamic equilibrium that honors both human livelihoods and the intrinsic worth of the animal world. This balance is not static but ever-shifting, requiring constant learning, open dialogue, and the humility to adapt as new knowledge emerges. Scientific research and adaptive management are our compass, guiding us through uncertainty toward more effective and compassionate solutions. Ultimately, the responsibility for seeking balance belongs to all of us. Farmers and ranchers, scientists and policymakers, city dwellers and rural communities, each has a role to play in shaping the future of our shared world. By educating ourselves about the wildlife around us and the pressures they face, we can support policies and practices that are both thoughtful and effective. Whether through responsible land use, supporting research, or engaging in community conservation, every action matters. The future of coexistence depends on our willingness to observe, to learn, and to act with foresight and empathy. Imagine a world where the wild and the human are not adversaries, but partners in the ongoing story of life. By fostering a deeper appreciation for the natural world, we can help ensure that the rich tapestry of life on Earth continues to thrive now and for generations yet to come. The quest for balance is not a destination, but a journey, one that calls us to wisdom, humility, and hope. Gap 2S. Throughout history, the challenge of managing invasive species has shaped landscapes, economies, and scientific understanding across the globe. While the struggle to balance human needs with the forces of nature is ancient, the deliberate management of invasive species is a more recent chapter, one marked by innovation, hard lessons, and evolving strategies. Gap 2S. The story begins in the 19th century as global trade and colonization accelerated the movement of plants and animals across continents. European rabbits, introduced to Australia in the 1850s for sport, soon multiplied into the millions, devastating crops and native flora. Early management efforts like hunting and fencing proved inadequate against such overwhelming numbers. The lesson was clear. Once established, invasive species are notoriously difficult to control. Gap 2S. The 20th century ushered in a new era of biological control. In Australia, scientists released the myxoma virus in the 1950s to combat the rabbit plague, achieving dramatic, though temporary, success. However, the rapid evolution of resistance in rabbit populations underscored the complexity of using one organism to control another, a recurring theme in invasive species management. Gap 2S. Across the Atlantic, the United States grappled with the introduction of the European starling and the spread of kudzu vine. Federal agencies began cataloguing invasive threats and experimenting with chemical controls, but often found that the cure could be as disruptive as the problem. In the Florida Everglades, efforts to control invasive melaleuca trees and Burmese pythons required the combined forces of research, public awareness, and coordinated action. Gap 2S. Globalization in the late 20th and early 21st centuries intensified the urgency of the issue. The zebra mussel, arriving in North America via ballast water from ships, clogged waterways and outcompeted native species. The response, stricter regulations on ballast water discharge and the development of early detection systems, a milestone in prevention-based management. Gap 2S. International cooperation emerged as a key strategy. The 1992 Convention on Biological Diversity marked a turning point, recognizing invasive species as a major threat to global biodiversity. Countries began sharing data, setting quarantine protocols, and investing in rapid response networks. These collaborations revealed that effective management is rarely the work of a single nation, but the result of shared knowledge and coordinated action. GAP 2S. Lessons learned from decades of trial and error have shaped modern approaches. Prevention is now recognized as the most cost-effective tool, with efforts focused on border inspections, risk assessments, and public education. Where invasions have already occurred, integrated management combining mechanical removal, targeted chemical use, and biological controls offers the best hope for long-term success. GAP 2S. Yet the history of invasive species management is also a story of humility. Not every intervention succeeds, and unintended consequences are common. The introduction of cane toads to Australia, intended to control crop pests, instead unleashed a new ecological crisis. Each misstep has reinforced the importance of rigorous research, careful monitoring, and adaptive management. GAP 2S. Today, the battle against invasive species continues on every continent. The lessons of the past guide new policies and technologies, from genetic tools that target specific invaders to community-led eradication programs. The struggle is ongoing, but history has shown that vigilance, innovation, and international cooperation are our strongest defenses. GAP 2S. Invasive species management is more than a technical challenge. It is a reflection of our relationship with the natural world and a reminder that every action, however well-intentioned, ripples through the fabric of life. The milestones of the past illuminate the path forward as we strive to protect native ecosystems and preserve the balance that sustains us all. In the rapidly evolving fight against invasive species and wildlife conflicts, technology has emerged as a game-changer. Today, scientists, land managers, and conservationists have unprecedented tools at their disposal, reshaping what's possible in wildlife control and ecosystem management. Drones, once the stuff of science fiction, now patrol fields, forests, and wetlands with silent precision. Equipped with thermal cameras and high-resolution sensors, these unmanned aerial vehicles can spot elusive animals from above, mapping their movements, identifying hard-to-reach nests, or even herding herds away from sensitive crops. This bird's-eye view allows for efficient, non-intrusive monitoring over vast and often inaccessible landscapes. Tracking devices have revolutionized how we understand animal behavior. Tiny GPS collars and radio transmitters fitted to everything from wild hogs to apex predators transmit real-time location data. This constant stream of information reveals migration routes, breeding grounds, and feeding patterns. Land managers use these insights to predict potential conflicts, deploy targeted interventions, and measure the effectiveness of control efforts. At the heart of modern wildlife management lies data, vast, complex, and ever-growing. Advanced data analysis uses artificial intelligence and machine learning to sift through millions of data points. Algorithms can detect trends invisible to the human eye, identifying the early signs of an invasion, forecasting population booms, or pinpointing high-risk zones for crop damage. These predictive models empower rapid, proactive responses, saving time, money, and native species. Innovation doesn't stop there. Automated camera traps triggered by motion or heat capture images and videos around the clock, creating a digital diary of wildlife activity. Remote-controlled traps and smart fences respond dynamically to animal presence, minimizing bycatch and maximizing efficiency. Even genetic tools like environmental DNA sampling can detect the mere presence of an invasive species in water or soil long before it's visible. Collaboration platforms and cloud-based databases connect experts across continents, allowing for real-time sharing of discoveries, strategies, and alerts. This global network ensures that what's learned in one region can quickly inform action in another. While technology cannot replace boots on the ground or the wisdom gained from experience, it amplifies human efforts to unprecedented levels. The fusion of innovation and ecology is not just changing the way we manage wildlife, it's building a smarter, more responsive approach to living alongside our wild neighbors. As challenges grow more complex, so too do the tools we bring to bear. The future of wildlife control is being shaped today, one breakthrough at a time. When invasive species move in, the consequences are rarely confined to the wild. Their reach is felt in farm, fields, local businesses, and the heart of rural communities, where livelihoods depend on a delicate balance between people and the land. The economic toll of invasive wildlife is staggering, costing governments, farmers, and taxpayers billions of dollars each year. Consider the wild hog invasion in the southern United States. These animals, with their relentless rooting and voracious appetites, cause over $2.5 billion in agricultural damage annually. Crops like corn, rice, and peanuts are uprooted overnight. Fences are destroyed, irrigation systems torn apart, and livestock threatened. Farmers are left facing not only lost harvests, but also the mounting costs of repairs and preventative measures. In California, the arrival of the European grapevine moth threatened the state's $40 billion wine industry. Vineyards scrambled to implement costly monitoring and eradication programs. Entire harvests were lost in some regions, with ripple effects felt across local economies reliant on grape production and tourism. The impact isn't limited to crops. In the Midwest, Asian carp have invaded rivers and lakes, outcompeting native fish and undermining commercial and recreational fishing industries. Local businesses, from bait shops to boat rentals, have seen profits dwindle as fish populations crash. Communities bear indirect costs as well. Increased spending on pest control, insurance premiums, and infrastructure repairs strain local budgets. In some cases, property values decline as invasive species degrade natural landscapes and water quality. Dr. David Jenkins, an agricultural economist, explains, the true cost of invasive species goes beyond immediate crop losses. It affects supply chains, employment, and even the mental health of those who depend on the land. For many, it's a constant battle with no easy solution. Case studies from around the world echo these challenges. In Australia, the spread of feral rabbits has led to soil erosion and reduced farm productivity. In South Africa, invasive plants like the black wattle choke rivers and farmland, requiring expensive removal efforts. The economic impact of invasive species is a global crisis, one that demands coordinated action, investment, and innovation. As we've seen, the cost of doing nothing is far greater than the price of prevention and control. Ultimately, protecting agriculture and community livelihoods means staying vigilant, sharing knowledge, and supporting those on the front lines. The fight against invasive species isn't just about conservation, it's about safeguarding the foundations of rural life. When it comes to managing invasive species, the conversation quickly turns from science and economics to something far more complex: ethics. The question isn't just how to control these animals, but whether we should, and if so, how far we're willing to go. Hunters are often on the front lines of wildlife control. Many see themselves as stewards of the land, providing a crucial service by keeping invasive populations in check. For them, hunting is not just tradition or sport, it's a responsibility. As one lifelong hunter puts it, if we don't act, the balance tips. We're protecting the land for future generations, and sometimes that means making hard choices. Some advocate for regulated hunting seasons, arguing that targeted removal is more humane and effective than mass eradication campaigns. Conservationists, meanwhile, approach the issue from a different angle. Their focus is on the broader ecosystem, protecting native species, restoring habitats, and preventing irreversible damage. Many conservationists support lethal control only as a last resort, preferring non-lethal methods such as relocation, sterilization, or exclusion fencing. Every animal has a role, even invasive ones, says a leading ecologist. But unchecked, they threaten the very systems we're trying to save. It's about minimizing harm while maximizing ecological health. Policymakers sit at the intersection of these perspectives, tasked with making decisions that are both effective and publicly acceptable. They must weigh scientific evidence, economic realities, and public sentiment. Some regions have implemented strict regulations requiring permits, reporting, and humane standards for control efforts. Others face pushback from communities concerned about animal welfare or the unintended consequences of aggressive interventions. The ethical debate doesn't stop at methods, it extends to motives. Is it right to prioritize native species over newcomers? Should economic interests outweigh animal welfare? And who gets to decide what's natural in a world already shaped by human hands? There are no easy answers. Every approach has trade-offs, and every action or inaction carries consequences. What's clear is that ethical wildlife control demands open dialogue, transparency, and respect for diverse viewpoints. As the battle against invasive species continues, these debates will shape not only our strategies, but the very values that guide our relationship with the natural world. While the challenges of managing invasive species are daunting, there are stories of hope and determination from around the world. Stories where communities, scientists, and policymakers have united to turn the tide. These successful eradication campaigns offer valuable insights, showing that with the right strategies, invasive species can be controlled and ecosystems can recover. Take the case of New Zealand, an island nation that has become a global leader in invasive species management. Faced with the devastation of native bird populations by introduced predators like rats, stoats, and possums, New Zealand embarked on a bold journey. On islands such as Tiritiri Matangi and Campbell Island, teams implemented a combination of aerial bait drops, intensive trapping, and strict biosecurity measures. The results? Once silent forests now echo with the calls of native birds, and populations of species like the kakapo and the saddleback are rebounding. Closer to home, the Florida Keys provide another example. Here, the invasive Gambian pouch rat posed a serious threat to agriculture and native wildlife. Through a coordinated campaign of trapping, monitoring, and public education, wildlife managers were able to declare the region free of these destructive rodents within a decade. The key: rapid response, sustained funding, and community engagement. On the Galapagos Islands, the stakes were even higher. Invasive goats were destroying fragile habitats critical for endemic species like the giant tortoise. The solution was Project Isabella, one of the largest and most ambitious eradication efforts ever attempted. Using a mix of ground and aerial hunting, along with innovative tracking techniques, teams removed over 140,000 goats across multiple islands. The payoff was dramatic. Native vegetation bounced back, and the tortoise populations began to recover. In Europe, the eradication of muskrats from Great Britain is another case worth noting. These aquatic rodents, introduced for fur farming, spread rapidly and damaged riverbanks and wetlands. Through persistent trapping and surveillance, authorities succeeded in eliminating muskrats by the late 20th century, restoring balance to local waterways. What links these successes? A clear vision, science-based strategies, an unwavering commitment. Early detection, rapid response, and long-term monitoring are crucial. So too is partnership between governments, local communities, and conservation groups. These stories remind us that while the battle against invasive species is complex, victory is possible. Each successful campaign not only restores ecosystems, but also provides a blueprint for future efforts around the world. As we look to the future, the landscape of wildlife management is rapidly shifting. New threats are emerging on the horizon, fueled by global change, technological advancement, and the ever-increasing movement of people and goods across the planet. Climate change is altering habitats at an unprecedented pace. As temperatures rise and weather patterns shift, invasive species are finding new footholds in regions that were once inhospitable. Plants, insects, and diseases are expanding their ranges, sometimes outpacing the ability of native ecosystems to adapt. For example, the spread of the emerald ash borer in North America, once confined by cold winters, is now accelerating as milder climates allow the beetle to thrive. Meanwhile, aquatic invaders like zebra mussels and lionfish continue to disrupt waterways and marine ecosystems. Urbanization adds another layer of complexity. Cities are growing, creating new interfaces between human populations and wildlife. Urban green spaces, while vital for biodiversity, can also become highways for invasive species such as coyotes and raccoons to move deeper into metropolitan areas. These shifting boundaries demand new tools and strategies, but with these challenges come new opportunities. The future of wildlife management will be defined by innovation and collaboration. Cutting-edge technologies are already changing the game. Drones equipped with thermal imaging can track elusive animals across vast landscapes. Genetic engineering holds promise for controlling populations of invasive pests through targeted gene drives. And artificial intelligence is being harnessed to analyze vast datasets, predicting outbreaks before they happen. Proactive solutions are at the heart of this new era. Early detection systems, powered by remote sensors and citizen science networks, are enabling faster responses to new invasions. International cooperation is strengthening, with countries sharing data, expertise, and resources to address threats that know no borders. Education and public engagement remain crucial. Empowering local communities to recognize and report invasive species can turn millions of eyes into a first line of defense. At the same time, policymakers are rethinking regulations and trade practices to minimize accidental introductions, ensuring that prevention, not just reaction, becomes the norm. The road ahead will not be easy. As economic pressures mount and natural habitats continue to shrink, the need for sustainable, science-based wildlife management is more urgent than ever. By anticipating emerging threats and embracing proactive solutions, we can safeguard the delicate balance of our shared world, protecting both biodiversity and the livelihoods that depend on it. The future of wildlife management is a story still being written. It is a story of adaptation, resilience, and innovation, one in which every action taken today will shape the ecosystems of tomorrow.